What if our obsession with the newest, shiniest things ends up being the reason our world becomes unlivable? A dystopian future born out of our infinite lust for more stuff, more likes, more upgrades. That's the message Gachiakuta is trying to deliver. An anime like none other. A show that is engaging, funny, enjoyable, and with a unique art style. But also it is conveying a message that transcends the idea of being just an anime. Because Gachiakuta is a warning, a brutal mirror held up to our society, where endless consumerism and class division led to a future where both the planet and humanity become nothing more than just trash. You see, when we are first introduced to the world of Gachiakuta, society there is split. The elites live up high above in the floating city known as the sphere, comfortable, untouched, and unbothered by the world that lies below. They don't give a single care to the world that is engulfed in shadows. In fact, no one even knows what lies at the bottom of the pit, or hell, even if it has an end to begin with. To them, the pit only represents the ultimate enabler to their lifestyle. A bottomless trash can that presents the perfect solution to their bottomless lust. It is a simple but very effective way to dispose of the old and keep chasing the new. And the ugly reality is that this behavior even transcends objects and even applies to subjects. Those who are deemed unworthy to inhabit this extremely materialistic world are actually treated just like trash, thrown into the pit without a second thought. Such is the fate of the show's protagonist, Rudo, a young man from the slums of the sphere, a boy accused of a crime he did not commit and simply thrown into the pit to die. However, and instead of dying, he mysteriously survives the fall. Maybe it was his vengeance, maybe he was special, but the reality is the pit wasn't bottomless after all. But to no one's surprise, Rudo wakes up to find a world that perfectly reflects everything wrong with his own. A dystopian wasteland, built from the discarded leftovers of a society obsessed with nothing but consuming, moving along, and then throwing away. A harsh reality that Rudo has to deal with, and deal with the guilt of it for the remainder of the series. From there, however, the show takes a very shonen approach to advance the story. To the point one might think that Gachiakuta is about revenge, monsters, and survival. But that's only on surface level. Digging deeper, however, reveals it is more than that. Gachiakuta is far darker than what meets the eye, because you see beyond the unique art style. Beyond the flashy shonen action lies an unbearable reality. There is even uglier than the trash beasts themselves. In fact, these beasts are almost entirely symbolic in a sense. They serve the purpose of helping the reader or the watcher's eyes to focus on the deeper narrative of Gachiakuta. They are simply consequences materialized into beasts that hunt humanity for its destructive behavior. You see, the world of Gachiakuta is drowning in trash all because people deemed objects worthless and so they simply discarded them. Not because they are broken or lost their value, no, they are simply thrown on a whim. And honestly, if that was the only answer, sure, trash would pile up, but not to the point of drowning the very world they live in. Because you see, it is filled to the brim with trash due to the people's addiction to chase after the new, as I said, without much care or appreciation for the things they already own. And honestly, when I talk like this, doesn't it actually sound familiar? Because that's the cycle we are stuck in as a society. Social media tells us that our phones aren't good enough, our clothes aren't stylish enough, our lives aren't exciting enough. And inherently, that's not necessarily a bad thing. There is nothing wrong with striving for something better. However, what they are doing is that they are selling us emptiness that cannot be filled unless we acquire more, unless we strive for the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing, never feeling satisfied or proud with what we have. A vicious cycle that leaves the hearts empty and the world full of trash. A cycle that with each repetition grows bigger and uglier, just like the trash beast in the pit. However, this message actually goes beyond just the materialistic aspect of life. Because, and it is as they say, the way you do anything is how you do everything. The way these people treat objects is the same way they treat other humans. Simply put, in a society where everything is replaceable, well, people themselves become replaceable as well. Once we normalize not giving anything any lasting value, it is in fact only a matter of time before we start treating other humans the same way. As you see in Gachakuta, it is not just the objects that get discarded. In this dystopian future, humans are also easily discarded whenever they fail to meet the society's standards, and there they are now prosecuted or even thrown in jail. No, they are simply yeeted out of the sphere and into the pit, where they would presumably die, but more importantly they would do so out of sight. And if you could actually believe it, this dehumanization of people goes even deeper than this punishment, because you see, the sins of the parents are passed on to the children, who are forced to live in the slums of the big beautiful white city. And there those people, the tribe folk, are treated just like trash. They are often blamed for crimes they did not even commit, shunned by society, and literally thrown away like garbage when convenient. Because to the higher-ups they are nothing more than trash. They are put outside of the city and then thrown away into the pit at the mildest of offenses. And here I can't really help but feel that this mirrors the corporate life perfectly. Of course, it is a bit exaggerated in Gachiakuta because it is a shonen anime. However, the message here is very clear. The rich and powerful live comfortably, bending the laws and walking away untouched, while the people who work the hardest, who are the backbone of every society, struggle just to survive. They struggle just to keep afloat while being treated as if they don't amount to nothing. And much like people in this sphere, companies usually discard these hardworking people whenever they feel like it. It's almost as if Gachiakuta got it perfectly. The fantasy of a perfect city or a country cannot exist without the ugliness of the human desire, without the cruelty of the human nature and actions. And again, this is our reality today. Billionaires and politicians can evade taxes, break the law, or even push for policies that doom entire nations, just to keep the lie of their lives going. They push for consumerism and extreme materialism so they keep the wheel turning and keep the materialistic lie alive. Otherwise, if the masses stop buying into this ideology, if they take back control of their lives and their spendings, the ugly system loses its power and leverage.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line.
And this is the warning Gachiakuta is trying to convey. As I said, the scariest part in this world isn't the monsters. It is actually how close its society looks to ours. A society obsessed with consumerism. And a world where discarding doesn't just create mountains of trash. It gives birth to a broken system with evil people on top. It dehumanizes people and creates a world where value itself is destroyed. The monsters aren't just in the pit. They are here, right now in ourselves. They are in our addiction to the new, and they are in the way we ignore who is suffering while chasing luxury endlessly. But more importantly, they are in the way we've accepted a world where the poor are disposable and the rich are untouchable. And it goes without saying, if we don't stop, if we don't break the wheel and keep treating everything and everyone as replaceable, we will be building our own dystopia. Not in the manga, but in real life. And we've already started to feel the consequences of such society. Gachiakuta is more than just a dark fantasy. It is a mirror, showing us the ugly reality we are ignoring. It is a reminder that our obsession with more, with endless consumption, and with throwing away both objects and people will not have a happy ending. A dystopian Mad Max might not be that far into the future.